I would like to first begin by thanking the organizers because I believe we all owe a debt of gratitude to them for enabling us to come to this August event and expand our horizons, our knowledge. I personally, and I'm sure all of you, have gained a lot by attending the various sessions and interacting with the people, and I hope to contribute a bit to this in the privilege given to me to address this August audience. Firstly, we have to understand the scale of revolution we are in. Every 10, 50 years, it's called a revolutionary time. But this truly, since the beginning of mankind, since the history of mankind, is a revolution which has never happened before. It's not a revolution on the form of government. We'll have monarchy or republican, or you will have a capitalist system or a communist system, which goes through its cycles every 50, 100, 200 years, which is a very long time. This is the first time in history that one individual without the government or a gatekeeper can address billions of people. This has never happened before since the mass communication started, whether it be a hand-drawn painting or a letter, or when printing press came, books, newspapers, radio, TV, every mass communication had an editor. The editor would decide what you can publish. The capitalist will control that means of publication. The government had to deal with a few people, a few business owners, a few media houses, a few editors, and it could regulate news. This is the first time where those regulations failed initially with the rise of internet. And I say the word initially because that is the whole topic of this debate. Because initially it was supposed that all these social media intermediaries, which are allowing one individual to talk to billions of people if his content is good, would be a mechanism which would be fair. It will be like a road. It will not have any bias. It will be the same road for every driver. If it has potholes, it will be potholes for everybody. If it is smooth, it will be smooth for everybody. And that was enabled by a law. Section 230 came in USA, which effectively is called 26 words which launched the internet. In Indian context, it's Section 79 of our IT Act, which said that these platforms are not publishers, are not editors. What Abhijit was saying right now, before this, the legal basis was that if anything is published in a newspaper or on TV, the editor as well as the author of that article or the journalist is responsible. Both are responsible, the gatekeeper as well as the actual writer. Now this changed it dramatically. It said that publisher is not responsible because it has no agenda, it has no agency in deciding what you're writing. It's like a road. You shoot on it, you are responsible. You have an accident on it, you are responsible. You ram your card into somebody, you are responsible. The road is not. Very good, Section 79 brought in. What happened is, the state strikes back, the empire strikes back, the big business, the government, it cannot allow a road like that. It cannot allow an individual to address crores of people without any oversight. So the biases start. Unfortunately for India, India has not been in the lead of any of these intermediaries. So this is all US and unfortunately China recently, which created these intermediaries. So the problem we suffer is this. There is bias on these platforms, whether it be shadow banning, whether it be downranking, whether it be banning somebody, whether it be demonetizing accounts because some people are creating it. All these problems have come, and what was supposed to be a medium which will be free and transparent became another form of bias, got a gatekeeper. So once we recognize that these social intermediaries are now performing as per their bias, openly it's been admitted that FBI, CIA control Facebook. They have said that they give access to data. My problems, and I will not talk about the individual cases, it's a bigger problem. Are we having election interference in India? Are they getting the data to understand what enables a person, what a person likes, and then tailoring it to our needs? Are they disrupting our economy? Are they disrupting our social fabric? Are they disrupting our cultural fabric? Those structural issues, I believe the government needs to focus on, rather than what one individual has said about one politician or on one issue, which gets the maximum airtime, which gets the maximum attention. The structural issues are not visible, but they are all pervasive. And I believe the government's role should be to focus on those issues to reduce those vulnerabilities. US has a very expansive definition of national security. It says if you are biasing their policies, if you are affecting their stock market, that is a national security threat. India needs to have an all-encompassing definition of national security. A bomb blast is obviously a matter of national security, but these hidden aspects, I believe, are a graver danger because they fundamentally and structurally change our election, our polity, our culture, and our existence as a nation. The other aspect of this is the OTT platforms. Technically, these are two very separate discussions we are having, but because OTT has also risen a lot in India, what is being shown here culturally affects us in real time. For example, Diwali is obviously a polluting agent, so you do not burst crackers. Holi is, of course, a means of eve teasing where every guy is out to eve tease a girl. Rakhi, of course, is patriarchy, and why would a woman, independent modern woman, want to believe in Rakhi? Karwa Chauth is patriarchy raised to power 10. Dahi Handi is very dangerous and can be risky if you perform it. Jallikattu is cruelty to animal. So everything starts from cultural aspects, and if they teach this culture to your kid, no matter what you say, if he thinks that you are a stupid person who's causing pollution or you are a regressive person, that is why you believe in Rakhi, your argument has already failed because they have already won the narrative war. So those sort of narrative wars are what is happening on OTT platform, which has to be understood. But I am not in favor of too much regulation here. Yes, of course, the regulation has to exist and exists both for social media intermediaries as well as OTT platforms when it comes to adult content, when it comes to sexual content. Our IT Act has enough sections in it. Our IPC has enough sections in it if you are talking about sexual content. But the battle is graver. It is below the surface. You see so many reels nowadays being made, if you're talking about culture, where people are scantily dressed on railways and they are shooting those reels. How many such people will you arrest unless you understand the larger problem? The other aspect of this problem, if I may say, is how these social media platforms have developed in a global way without taking into sensibilities of India. India has the largest population. If you see the Israel-Hamas war, 80% of support to Israel has come from India, from Bharat. If it was not there, there would be complete one-sided agenda, which would run because the population which Israel is fighting in Hamas and its supporters is way vaster. So that is our strength. Our ability to set global narratives is our strength. But are we able to set even Indian narratives? And for that, if a China can create global platforms like TikTok, India thankfully banned it. But forget US for a second. Are we creating Indian platforms which go global, which people all over the world use? Because unless they are global, you will not have mass acceptance in youth because the youth wants to be able to deal with singers who are abroad, for Hollywood stars who are abroad, models who are abroad. So your focus has to be creating a platform which stands on its own and is able to compete with global forces. Only then, in the age of internet, would you be able to be local. Without being global, you can't be local in information age. I somehow feel too much effort is placed on being local. It is very good if you're talking within India. But when we are talking national security and long-term effects, it has to be global. When it comes to regulations, there are certain regulations which are being brought. There is a case going on in Bombay High Court because fact-checking units have been proposed by these regulations, and the government has said we are not implementing them till the High Court decides the case. The High Court judgment is supposed to come. The order has been reserved. It's coming on 1st December. But before you have a national fact check, Karnataka, where the government changes, already announces we will have a fact check unit. And we can all understand who will be the leads in those fact checking units, and they get an advantage. It's not a level playing field because their fact checkers get approval from European nations, Western democracies, the lobbies, leftist lobbies there. So because there are so many people from outside India here, we need to create those accreditations for Indic fact checkers also from these institutions, because it is only when you get globally recognized that it becomes easier for you to operate locally also, because most of these companies just frame the rules like this. It said a man with a briefcase can steal 100 times more than a man with a gun. That's what they are doing. Because they are able to give platforms globally, accreditation globally to their fact checkers, then it becomes very easy for a global company like Facebook or Meta to say and comply with the US laws that we are relying on these people because they are globally recognized. Our strength is our diaspora. Are we checking all those boxes? Are we building global platforms, or are our laws tailored only for local situations? Most things, I think our laws have to be local, except internet, because this is a revolution which is very different from every other revolution. If you look at it only locally, then I think, like that elephant story, you're looking only at the tail or only at the leg. You have to see the whole globe and then bias your system with government regulations, with government laws, so that you can perform in it globally. But it's not new if we come to solutions. It's always been like that in the history of mankind. And I disagree a little bit with Abhijit Dada, where he says that don't have regulations. On structural issues, you need regulations. On national security issues, you need regulations. Unfortunately, our bureaucracy is usually about local issues. How do we control one group of people? How do we ensure that our government is not criticized on some economic or policy issue? How do we secure that a politician is not criticized? What was Section 6A? Annoyance caused to anybody would result in jail to you. And reality is all bureaucracies like this law. One government brought in, the other government, when in opposition, said, we will stop this. When they came to power, they defended it. Because bureaucrat likes to have control over his local area. CM likes to have control over his local population. There, I am not pro-regulation, because there I adopt his point. Right-wing, nationalists, whatever word, dharmic people, whatever word you say, will suffer in it. But on structural issues, if you do not bring the law, if you are scared of wielding power, then somebody else will wield the power when his time comes. And one example, I'm not speaking on that topic, see the temple laws. The temple takeover has become embedded in an economic system in a manner that very, very difficult for even a dharmic chief minister or a dharmic prime minister to break that system. That is what law does. It creates an embedded system. Whereas in temple takeover laws or places of worship act, Hindus say sirf liya, it's been take. See on the other side, the Waqf Act, it's all about give. There will be sessions on that, I presume, so I will not speak more on that. But that is one factor to show the power of law. So while you are in power, make those structural laws wisely, else we will be back to the same problem which we have had with these temple takeover laws, places of worship act, Waqf Act, etc., because governments come and go. But legal systems, once they come in place, they are permanent because there is too much pain in changing them. I will just end up by saying this. So use this time wisely. Think globally. It's not a local issue. It's not a local problem. Do not focus on controlling one individual or one criticism. Focus on national security, economic, and all these structural big-ticket issues. That is the only way Bharat can be secure. Thank you.